everybody, it's Kathy Champion with Random Acts of Crafting, and I am back in my craft room today for a specific purpose. I have had quite a few of my subscribers that have voiced to me, and they're in the comments, that they still have trouble using their trimmer. I know I have covered the trimmer before, but I'm going to try my best to break this down today. So let me grab my two trimmers and a couple pieces of cardstock. I'm just going to grab a yellow piece, a couple of white pieces, and this is the trimmer that I use most of the time, as you well know. If you watch my videos, you'll know that this is my go-to trimmer. But I also have this little Fiskars trimmer, and I know that two of my subscribers have this one. And I do dedicate this to chipboard, as you can see, but right now I do have a good blade in it that is good for cutting paper. So I'm going to start off with this one, since I know that two of my subscribers have this trimmer, and they are two that do have difficulty with their trimmer. The first thing you want to do is set your trimmer down, make sure it's on a good flat surface. That is crucial. And let's just say, for an example, that you are cutting a card base for an A2 size card. Now, everybody that makes cards, and this might be another video that I need to cover, but there are so many different card sizes that we can make. The most popular card is the traditional A2 size, which is like this one. And this was a little card I was playing with, and just testing out some dies and stamp sets that I had, and some stickers. And so, but this is known as an A2 size card. It is a half a sheet of cardstock like this, 8.5 by 11. This is a half a sheet. So if you laid this down on top of this, you would cut this down the middle, and this is 8.5 by 11. So that makes this card 4 1/4. So there's 4 and there's 1/4. I'm going to zoom in because I do want you to be able to see this. Let me pull this down like so, and I'm going to do my best to get this here where you can see exactly what I'm seeing. This is your 4-inch line right here, and 4 1/4 would be this line right there. So 1/8 would be right there, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and 5. So in order to cut this down into an A2 size card, we're going to need to line this up at 5 1/4. So that's going to be your 1/4 inch mark. So when you're not lining it up where you're cutting it, you're lining the edge of your paper over to the inch line that your card needs to be. And I'm going to explain this further. Then we're going to set our arm down. I am going to zoom back out so you can see what I'm doing on the other side. I'm going to pull this up and getting it into the frame, and I'm going to sink my blade, which is no more than just pushing your blade down into your paper. I'm going to push it up and then down, and this is going to give you 2 equal pieces of cardstock. Now both of these are cut at 4 1/4 by 11. So 8.5 by 11 is our normal size of an A2 size card. But when you fold this in half, you are going to get 4 1/4 by 5.5. So let me show you on the scoreboard. Here is our scoreboard. Now we're going to lay this down because we need to fold it in half this way. So we're going to lay it down with the 11 inch at the 11 inch line. So this is on the 11 inch side, and we're going to score it right down the middle at 5 1/2. So let me get my bone folder that I'm going to use for scoring. Here is 5 1/2. So we are going to score this at 5 1/2. Now when we fold this over, this is going to give us a perfect card base to either have a portrait size card, which portrait opens this way. So this would make it a portrait card. Or we could do it this way and have a landscape card. Now there is another way to cut your paper, and that would be cut it in half in the opposite direction. So let me move my scoreboard and I'll show you that orientation. And again, the reason I am doing this, I so wish that I could come and sit down at your house and teach you how to do this. But for right now, this is the best I can do, and that's to try to show you on camera. So for this piece now, I'm still going to be making an A2 size card, but I'm now on the 11-inch side, so I need to cut that in half at 5.5, the same place that I scored this one. So we're going to cut it this time, and please do not allow this to confuse you. But if you put this in, I'm at there's the 5, there's the 5.5, so I'm going to line it up right to the 5.5, and I'm going to bring my blade up, sink it in the middle, slice up and slice down, and now we have 2 more card bases, but in the opposite orientation. And let me show you that, because now I'm going to score these in half, and they are going to actually be scored the way we cut the other. So now we're on the 8.5-inch side, and we're going to score at 4.25. So 4.25 is right there. And this is going to give us a different orientation card. So now we're either going to have a same size card. These are identical, the same size, just in a different orientation. So now you have this one that was cut on the long side, or this one that was cut on the short side. And as you can see, they're identical in the size. There's no difference. And in order to mat these, you will need to do 1/4 inch difference. So your mats are going to be the same no matter which one of these orientations you use. So again, I'm going to go over that one more time. If you want to make A2 size cards, you're going to put cardstock into your trimmer. I'm going to move this again, because I really don't want to teach you so much about scoring, but I want to teach you how to use your scoreboard. Your paper trimmer. So I'm going to take this yellow piece. We're going to sit it down on a nice even surface. We're going to open it up, bring out our swing arm. Make sure you lock that arm, because it does have a little click. And once you get that, you're going to make sure that your paper stays all the way up to that top lip. You have a lip right across here, and you want to make sure that you keep your paper all the way up into there. So we're going to do the regular, the most popular A2 size card would be cutting it at 4.25. So I'm going to put this in. I'm going to butt it up against that top lip. I'm going to come over. There's 4. The next line is 4.25, the long line. So that's going to give you your 4.25. We're going to bring our handle down, sink our blade, go up and then down. Making sure you put a good grip on that paper, you're going to hang on to it. So now we're going to take this out, and we have 2 more card bases that will make 2 A2 size cards. So all we're going to do is put these in the scoreboard, score it at 5.5, and we're good to go. Now, this paper that I'm using will not go to waste, because I will use these for card bases. So again, this is the same one, but with this time we're gonna cut it at 5.5, because half of 11 is 5.5. So 5.5, holding the paper, making sure it's up against that lip. Sink your blade in the middle, slice up and slice down. 2 more cards. All we're going to do now is put this in our scoreboard and score it in half at 4.25. So this is relatively easy to make your card bases. But now let's say that you need to, I'm going to also go over that with this scoreboard, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I just want to make sure that everybody has this particular board and how to cut. Let's say that we need to cut a 2 by 2 inch square. And we've got this little scrap of paper. So we're going to lay it into our scoreboard. And we have a 2 right here. I'm going to zoom in again. Oops, wrong way. And I'm going to pull this down so you can see. And if you look right here, there's your 2. Let me come in a little bit closer. Okay, see your 2. You're going to butt your paper up against the slip. See the slip right here? Just make sure your paper's butted up to that, and that you put it right on that line in between your 2. See the line runs right between the 2. Lay it right on that line, just like so. Hold it, close down your handle, put your blade up in the middle. Let me zoom you out. And then you're going to slice up and slice down. And now you've got a 2-inch piece. It's 2 inches this way, but say for example you need this to be 2 by 3. So now you're going to put it back in the trimmer, and you're going to come over to the 3-inch line, which is right here. The 3-inch line does not have a number on it, so if you wanted to put a piece of tape or something right up there, and I'll show you how I would do that. I would literally take a piece of purple tape, and I would use my scissors, and I would just cut a very thin piece of tape, like so. Get a nice even piece of tape, and then I would lay that right here to let you know that that is your 3-inch line. And then anytime that you need to come to that, you know that that line right there at the end of your trimmer, and even if you shut your trimmer, you'll always know that that is your 3-inch line. And then, or what I meant was to close the arm. So now when we cut this, this is going to be 2, and I'll show you. Here's my ruler, and there we've got 2 inches by 3 inches. And you can always do that. If you're not sure that you're cutting correctly, pull out your ruler and measure it once you take it off. And that will help you decide whether or not you are using your trimmer properly. So again, like I said, I want to also show you on the Cricut trimmer. It's not that much difference. The principle, you still have the arm. You still want to make sure you've got it on a good flat surface. You've got your little arm here that you can lift up. And I am going to pull some of this excess paper out of my track. This is where I had been cutting earlier. And I do this real often. I'll just take something like this little pick tool that came with my Cricut, and I'll just run it through here and pick up any of that excess paper that has accumulated in my track. So, you know, you just have to clean up your tools every now and then, and that was one of those cases where this needed to be. This is cheaper cardstock, so if you noticed, it frays more than what the better cardstock does. This frays a lot worse than some of the others. So, okay, let's go back in here and say we wanted a 4-inch, excuse me, sorry, say if you needed a 4-inch piece. Here, let me zoom you in again. I really want y'all to get this, so let's go in, and I'm going to slide this down so you can see it. Maybe even come in a little bit more. Whoops. And give it a moment to focus. It's not wanting to focus that close in, is it? I don't think we're getting focused there either. Let's see. Alrighty, it doesn't seem like it wants to focus for me. So let's zoom it back out. And Maybe I just went in a little bit too fast. There. Okay, that looks good. Now you can actually see that 4-inch line. And the 4-inch line on the Cricut trimmer is really easy because it lines up exactly with this little lip on the left-hand side of the trimmer, right here. And if we needed to cut this at 4, we would just cut it like so. And this gives us our 4-inch piece, because you always want to line it up with the number that corresponds with the inch that you're trying to cut. Let's see if I can get that, and there it is. So that is a 4-inch piece, and it is already measuring. Let me zoom you back out. It is already measuring 5.5. So this would actually be the front of a, well, actually we'd need to take another quarter off of it, and this would actually be a card base or a mat for an A2 size card. So I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of this, and that would actually give us a mat that would mat perfectly on a card like this or this. I'll show you. I'm not even going to put this in the scoreboard. I'm just going to fold it by hand. I am going to use the bone folder. Now we know that this piece is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So when you lay this on here, this is going to give you that perfect 1/4 inch all the way around that we want when we do our cards. So I hope that part helped you. Now let's say, for example, we had this little piece and we wanted a 2 by 2. Well, we know if we line this up right here with our cut line, this is our cut line. If we line that up and it comes right up to that 2, we know it's 2 inches wide. And let's say we needed to cut it at 2 inches, we wanted a 2 by 2. We would just line it up again against the 2 and slice it, and that is a little 2 by 2 square. So this is very basic, but it can be very intimidating if you don't understand cutting. I think for myself, because I sewed, I used to sew all the time when I was younger. It was just something that I loved, and I've gotten away from it a lot in my later years, but it is a craft just like card making. So you just have to practice. So if you have some scrap paper, even copy paper, you can just get you a stack of copy paper and get to your trimmer and start measuring. Make you some list of different measurements that you want cut, and then after you cut them, take your ruler or your board, you know, your mat, and lay them against it and see if you have cut that like you wanted it. So, you know, it's not a difficult process. Do not tell yourself that you can't do it, because there's power in your words, and if you say you can't, more than likely you won't. So give this a try. Get into your craft room, your kitchen table, wherever you can put your trimmer down and just work with it. And I'll tell you, the person that actually prompted me to make this video was Jennifer Reel. And I hope I'm not embarrassing you by calling you by name, Jennifer, but I made this video for you because I so want you to master measuring and your card making. I can tell you have a passion for it because you watch video after video, you comment, and you're always so sweet. And yes, I wish I could come to your house and give you private lessons on how to make cards. If you're ever in North Carolina, you'll have to look me up. But if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You do not have to ask them on a public forum. Look me up on Facebook, send me a private message. You can always reach me by email. So I think this afternoon, later this evening, I am going to set up an email address that will be only for Random Acts of Crafting. So once I get that set up, I think it'll be a lot easier for people to get in touch with me, or either I'm going to make me another email account that's going to be for my private emails, and I'll devote my Kathy Champion 31155 to Random Acts of Crafting. But either way, I want everybody that watches my videos to be able to understand what I'm trying to teach you. I want you to get it. So I'm hoping that this video was a help to you. I'm going to sit down and write out a chart that's going to give the dimensions of different size cards and where to score them and the mat size to go on them. I think that'll be beneficial. I'm going to try to do it in a PDF format, and I will have it on my blog. Hopefully, not my blog, I'm sorry. I have not set up a blog yet, but I will try to post it on Random Acts of Crafting. So if I can post it there, if you will come over to Random Acts of Crafting by Kathy Champion, my Facebook page, you can actually be able to print it out from there, hopefully. So if I can't put it there, I'll try to put it in the description of this video. But I hope this helps somebody that's struggling with their measuring, and whichever trimmer you have. These are both great little trimmers. I do prefer the Cricut over this one. I think it's easier to read. It has the grid lines both vertical and horizontal. For me, this trimmer is just much easier. I can measure with this one with no problem, but like I said, I usually keep this one to cut my chipboard. And speaking of chipboard, get your chipboard ready, or your cards, your cereal boxes, whatever you want to use for your album, and go ahead and get your pieces cut in 6x6 pieces, because that's what we're going to start out with. And I think we're going to start out with probably 8 pages. I'm thinking 8 pages would be really good, front and back. We're also going to put some flip outs and things like that, so you want a few pieces extra of cardstock for those, not cardstock but chipboard, and I will show you how to make all the connecting pieces to make that work. But we're going to have a lot of fun with that Christmas album 2019, so be on the lookout. God bless you all. I hope this was a benefit to somebody, and thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.